Thank you, Marshall. Welcome, everybody, to the December 13th, 2023 CALPADS Q A. My name is Paul Higgins. I'm a data analyst working for CSIS supporting CALPADS. With that said, let's go ahead and talk about some announcements. Obviously the Damocles sword in the room hanging over all of our heads is this Friday, 12/15, is the 2023-2024 Fall 1 certification deadline. That will mark the time that we expect everyone to have certified their data to at least LEA approved, ideally CELPA approved, but we do understand that there are still SPED related errors out there that will prevent that. But the amendment window will allow for that SPED data review, allowing for the 12/16 through January 26th window to take care of that. And then I believe on Monday, as that amendment window opens, Fall 2 will begin to be displayed in your certification screens, so that you can begin to see all that as it comes up. And to talk about that, last week a flash, CALPADS Flash 263, came out to discuss all of Fall 2. So that is out there. I did not see it posted on the communications page yet, but I believe that is in motion. So that should be visible very soon. And maybe if we have a PDF copy, we can put it into the chat. I don't know. Let's see, we did have a maintenance release and then a supplemental patch, and I just wanted to leave that to Angela to talk about because she does it so much better than me. Angela, do you have anything to say about our patching and bug situations?
Yeah, our good friend Center 606 continued to haunt us, but we think we got it all squared away now. So we did have a release yesterday morning. Known issues are up to date, and we were still having some scenarios where kids that were short-term enrollments that have overlapping primary enrollments were still triggering the Center 606. So I think they got that resolved this morning. So we have revisions running for all those folks. There weren't that many. They were all COEs. So those should start falling off your report if they haven't already. That was all I had for that. I did want to point out, is it Alex driving today? Yeah, Alex. Can you navigate to the data discrepancy screen? So Nate, one of our trainers, pointed out that on this data discrepancy screen, the runtime is a lot quicker than having to wait for a whole revision. So are you in test or staging?
I'm in production, but I can be in staging.
No, you can go back.
Okay.
I thought ABC had some. So maybe click apply filters. There you go. So yeah, I guess you have to click that apply button. So those of you that are anxiously, scrubbing away and trying to get rid of all your remaining errors, this is kind of a shortcut. So you can kind of see throughout the day. You may not have a full revision yet, but anything that's a CDD, a certification data discrepancy, will show here. It will not show the old legacy cert errors. Anything that starts with CERT won't show up here, but most of you are dealing with your SPED errors. So this is a good place to kind of a shortcut for you. And thank you, Nate, for finding that. That was a really good tip.
All right, thank you for pointing that out. I'll be looking for that myself.
Right, because for us at the state level, we have to drill down, right? Like 3 steps if it's revised, if they've marked it as in review. So it's real time consuming for us. So this is a shortcut.
Yeah, it is. All right, thank you for sharing that, and thank you for finding that, Nate. If we don't have anything else, anything from CDE, Martha, Nate, anyone? Alex?
Nothing from me.
So I just one thing to say before we start going through these questions, and that is to everyone that is getting an SENR 606 error because the prior LEA did not exit a student from special education, and they should have. Okay. The reason I'm trying to address this is because literally I've answered this exact same question about 17 times to date. If a student gets to you and has been exited from special education, but the prior LEA did not submit the exit up to CALPADS, you can submit an SWDS record with a status of eligible not participating, eligible not enrolled, or not eligible if the student was exited from special education prior to them getting to your LEA. You, as to clear your SENR 606F1 error, can submit that exit. And we do not require that the date of the exit falls within your enrollment period. We are giving you that option, which means you don't have to rely on the other LEA. You have evidence that the student exited prior to entering your LEA. Don't wait for them to do it. Submit the exit up to CALPADS. And that will clear your SENR 606F1 errors.
All right. I like it when you just preemptively address 606 errors. Anything you can do to shoot those things out of the sky, do it, please. God, it's like watching sky rats dodging your head or something. Anyway. All right. Thank you for that, Brandy. If you hadn't noticed, we're all pretty tired of those 606s, just like you are. So, yeah, we're very motivated to get those things working right and to make sure that everybody's got the right process in place. All right. Getting over to the chat box, we will start with Ethan, 301 Q1. We have a single plan 620F1 fatal cert error, missing eligible and participating status record for a plan record. The student's most recent SWIDs from their prior LEA has the status, quote, eligible, not participating. Our understanding is the family is not participating in the SPED program and the student appears inactive in SEDS, Wellington. Our only SPED-related record for the student from our LEA is a plan record that was created by hand with the plan effective start date set to the student's first day of school. Will we resolve the plan 620F1 by not introducing any new fatal errors by simply deleting that plan record? We can share SSID and ticket number, but we need to take action ASAP today. So really hoping you can answer now.
So so here's what's important about that. What I'm understanding is that the parent revoked from what you just said. So if the parent revoked consent for special education and services, then yes, remove your plan record. That is appropriate because the student is not on an active IEP if the parent revoked consent for special education and services. But you need to verify that that happened. Because if there is not a revocation on a written revocation on file, then your district is still responsible to provide special education and services, and therefore you would need an SWDS record of eligible and participating as of the day they enter your LEA. So you need to verify that.
All right, thank you, Brandy. Moving down to Laura at 301 Q1. Do Fall 1 files being submitted right now take precedence over Fall 2 files that are being submitted by most right now, CRSE, SDM, etc., due to the Fall 1 certification deadline in 2 days? Some LEAs still need to clear fatals, some are SPED and out of our control, and wait for revisions in order to certify. Couple things there. There's the submission process, and then there's the revisioning process. So if you're having a problem with uploaded records, we're not seeing any performance issues on our side. Revisions always have taken a little longer, and that's kind of a bottleneck. The revisions will auto-generate throughout the day, but it has to see that you have, one, uploaded data into the system, posted it into the system since your last revision, and two, that you have been idle for some period of time, and that's all LEA users. So you can't be uploading data, deleting data, editing data. You can be looking stuff up, but you can't be touching it. So and that's throughout the LEA. So if you can meet those two requirements, you'll get multiple revisions throughout the day because you will be thrown into the queue every time you're seen as idle, and then you'll be processed through. Other than that, you could probably expect one every night so long as you are putting new data in every day. But yeah, you're talking about two separate processes there. And if you are experiencing any kind of performance issues on the upload side, Again, we're not seeing it, so we would need to know. And there is no priority on the uploads because they're all going in without a performance hitch. And the fall 2 submission is not refreshing yet, so that won't start until Monday. So it's not even part of the equation yet.
Paul, I just need for you to re-announce the idle part in like your announcer voice in the most theatrical way, because I'm sure there are some people that missed over that and that all users kind of thing being logged out.
Good point, because I did kind of glance over that. So first condition, you've uploaded data, posted new data in there, whether it's a new SCNR, Sprig record, whatever it is. Now, once new data has been introduced, everybody's got to sit tight. Nobody's touching the data. You can look at it, look up an SSID, review all their containers. Just don't hit open, don't hit post, don't hit edit, don't do anything. And that's not just you, that's every user at the LEA, because the submission, the fall 1 submission, refreshes for the entire LEA. So if you have school level users sitting out there editing data on the micro level, adding one little thing here and there, that counts. You got to idle those users as well. Otherwise, the system just sees you as just churning along a little bit here, a little bit there, just changing one little bit, one little bit, one little bit, and then it just waits, and it 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 waits. And if you're sitting up there going, all right, I haven't touched the system in 4 hours, why haven't I gotten a revision? And you're just beside yourself. It's because you probably have somebody subsequent to you down the chain feeding data in somewhere. And if that data is being fed in, you're not going to be put into the queue. If you're not in the queue, you're not going to have a revision run. Now, unfortunately, we don't have a notification system to say, hey, you were in the queue long enough and you got picked up and you're now running, so go ahead and start redoing or start uploading data again. You have to watch for a new revision to hit. Now, as Angela said initially, that Nate had found our little shortcut here, that if you go to the data discrepancies screen, you don't have to wait for that full revision. You can see the data discrepancies being generated on a much quicker basis than the full revisions. So if you're working on things like cert 67, this isn't going to help you. But if you're working on a plan 385 F1, there it is. It's going to get refreshed a lot faster than a full revision. So use your data discrepancy screen. Anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox here, but get on it, do what you have to. That was a joke, by the way. All right, getting back into it. Teresa 302 Q1. We are receiving a cert 1 error for enrollment data missing for an expected open school. We did not have any enrollments for this school on census day. How do we correct this error? There are no enrollments. This is our last error. Woohoo! You need to send in a CALPADS service ticket citing cert 1 in the title bar saying this school remains open with no enrollments. That's the way it's going to be. And we are certifying that there is nothing happening as of census day. Please remove this school from the expected schools table. We'll send that up to CDE, and I believe that they are now, especially now, watching that queue, with bated breath, waiting for these tickets to come in, so that way they can act on them immediately. And once they do that, then a new revision needs to run to clear that. And that is the only way to do that. Now, at the end of year 3, you'll have to do the exact same thing if the cert 1 is still running, because it's 2 separate collections. On fall 1, you're saying as of census day, the school was open but had no enrollments. At the end of the year, you're having to say, yeah, that school remained open for the whole year with no enrollments. So it's 2 separate things. You can't just put in one blanket request right now asking for both, because you don't know what's going to happen for the rest of the school year.
And you also have to put it in every year.
Yes,
we've got a ticket
point.
saying that, can we just exclude it because you guys have been excluding it? Yeah, if you close that school.
And if you want to do that, we can also provide direction on where to go for that. CDS Opus would be more than happy to help you close your schools. Natasha 302, no question, just a shout out to Gary for his quick response to my ticket this morning. Big thanks. So Gary, thanks much.
Thanks, Natasha.
303, Cami. Another shout out to Martha for always being so ready to help the LEAs. Way to go, Martha. Wendy, 306. Here's Flash 263, which was emailed on December 7th. Yes, it will be posted soon on the CDE CalPADS communications page. So thank you, Wendy. I appreciate that. Robin, at 304 Q1, how often does the data discrepancies page update? I made updates an hour ago to clear DD, but it's still there. Not a big issue, just wondering. And actually, she came back and then said, oops, it's 30 minutes ago. Actually, maybe I should just be more patient. Everybody could be a little bit more patient. I think that if you check any snapshot, a completed snapshot, it'll actually show you when the CDDs start and finish. Let's see.
She last had one at 2:10 and it took a minute to run, but she since posted at 2:30 and it hasn't kicked off again. So I don't know, Nate, do you know how often it starts a new runtime? Is Nate here today?
Yeah, he was there. Hey, Nate, if you're talking, you're on mute.
Am I?
No, we hear you now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm talking to two headsets. I don't know which one's working.
Now you're getting louder.
So I'll figure that out in a minute. I don't know specifically how long it was. In test, it was anywhere from a matter of 3 to 5 minutes to where I saw it would take about an hour or so.
Okay.
But it was nothing like the revision processing times.
All right, thank you, Nate. Let's see, that was, and Yangzhu at 307 was actually asking the same thing. How often does the data discrepancies get updated? Dominic found humor in sky rats. Wendy Johnson, 304 Q1. When will the known issues for the SENR 606 F1 be resolved? Yes, we are working on that. We're motivated.
It's fixed. That was the one that had a minor tweak this morning for the short-term enrollment ones.
Oh, that one. Gotcha. Yes. Okay. So hopefully that you'll get a new revision. And if yours was related to that with the short-term enrollment, you'll see it fall off.
And I did push a new revision for you, Wendy. So I'm just waiting for that to go through.
Thank you, Angela.
Check your data discrepancy screen, see if it's gone.
Ooh.
And I have good news. I'm looking at a LEA I work with in production, and they've been resolving the SINF 0453F1 error. And they have been doing primarily online maintenance, and they had a discrepancy runtime of 248, and it ended at 248. So
Nice.
it's processing fairly quickly.
Now, of course, we can't condone solely the use of online maintenance since it is so much worse on our resource utilization, but hey, we do what we have to do right now, right? Let's see. Kathy, 306 Q1, request SSID is not finding matches even after the process has created the new SSID. Is this going to be further refined to resolve the mismatching?
The SSID match tool?
Yeah, I was just reading that too.
I think I know the answer to that one. About 10 minutes. Yeah, there is a delay, and I've been working with that developer. There's some indexing that happens, and so he's trying to make that speed up a little bit. So I don't think he's checked in that code. But so what was happening is if you got a batch of brand new SSIDs, but for whatever reason turned around and resent that same SENR file through the SSID match tool, those brand new SSIDs weren't always coming back right away. So he's trying to make that indexing a little bit faster so that it's more immediate.
Okay. Any idea when he's going to check that in?
He hasn't mentioned it on the stand-ups in the past couple of days, so I can ask tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. I think Padma at 314 was asking about the DD or the CDD refresh as well, whether it's 4 hours or 2, and so not 100% certain on that one, but an hour-ish. Walter, 315. We were idle as of 4 p.m. yesterday, and the revision last night did not process our corrections. Interesting.
Can I add a tip on that? Maybe
please.
sometimes, even though you're correcting some errors, it helps if you also post without modifying the enrollment record.
I just did that for Wendy because I
Yeah.
thought she should have had a new revision by now. So
Yeah.
hopefully that'll speed things along for her. So Walter, I'm checking. I know for you, because we've had LA Unified has had some problems with the latency. CALPADS has a hard time keeping up with your data set. I'm checking to see if the errors are still valid. The first one I looked up, yes, that error should have cleared. I would hold on just a little bit longer, Walter, and then check in with me in the morning, and we'll see if everything's cleared out by then.
All right, moving on to Nelissa, 315 Q1. Why does CALPADS have to wait until all users stop making changes before generating a new revision? And is this something that will change in the future? It could change in the future. Things change all the time. I don't know. I don't believe that there are any pending CRs or requests out there. And as to why it is the way it is, we had it established one way, and then it was decided that we would go a different direction, and this is where we landed. There were lots of discussions in between, and I think some focus groups, and this was seen as the most efficient way to get the most number of revisions out to the most number of people in the shortest amount of time.
Yeah, the current discussions that I've been hearing, they kind of want to move back. This is for old timers that have been around for a very long time, pre-CALPADS, that on-demand feature that we used to have in certs. So basically, only revisions would run for people who actually wanted one. So it's significantly reducing the load on the servers, right? If people are getting revisions and they've already certified, right? They don't even need one. So we were thinking, or they're talking about bringing that kind of feature back to CALPADS. So you wouldn't have to be idle. You would just push a button and say, okay, I'm ready. We're still working, but I want to see what kind of impact our work has done on our errors.
Absolutely crazy talk, Angela. Who could trust us with that kind of responsibility? I mean, can you see the abuse? I'm just going to sit there pressing that button all damn day. What do you think about that? Oh, that's good. I'm glad to actually hear that conversation has been reawoken.
Yes. I think everybody recognizes that idle time is not ideal.
All right. I believe that was continuation. All right. Sonia, 312 Q1, referring specifically to juvenile court schools. If you have a student who is enrolled one day and leaves the next, do you need to adopt the previous plan? Then there's a Q2 attached to that. And I believe, Brandi, didn't we just have this conversation?
Yeah, that's what I answered her. But essentially, we're relooking. We're going to be revisiting our policy about short-term enrollments at county offices of education and whether or not that COE would be required to submit up a plan, particularly if the student's only there for a couple days. Because what's happening now, because the plan records and the ownership of that plan transfers with attached to a specific date, what's happening is if nothing's changed in the plan and then they go back to their other LEA, the other LEA basically has the most recent plan already, and so there's nothing really to adopt, and so it's causing issues with you guys. So stay tuned on that one. We're going to revisit that, and just as her follow-up question, Paul, is along that similar line, which is if we have kids that bounce back between LEAs where they have primary enrollment, right? So they're going back and forth from a comprehensive to a charter, and from the charter to the comprehensive, and back and forth. The question is, we have to continue passing their plans back and forth? And for primary enrollments, the answer is yes, we do.
Thank you, Brandy, for providing the continuity on that answer, because coming back to that probably would have been pretty sketchy, because I wouldn't remember the private conversation. So thank you for that. Stephanie, 320 Q1, what is the cutoff time on Friday for certifying Fall 1 data, and can you explain the letter? Q1, what is the cutoff time on Friday for certifying Fall 1 data, and can you explain the letter? Important things to note as the December 15th deadline approaches. That came out on December 7th. I'm new to CALPADS, and the part about the Plan 619 disabling is unclear to me. If it's over triggering, does that mean that there are defects? We had quite a bit of those errors that were removed because of disabling. And when you say re-release, does that mean we will get these errors back to resolve? And it looks like, Brandy, you did reply to this. So, Stephanie, generally it's close of business tomorrow. I believe CALPADS shuts down at 9 for overnight processing, 9 or 10, I don't remember which. So you would need to be certified by that time.
It's 10 p.m.
Friday, not tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm sorry. Today is only Wednesday, Friday, and thank you, 10 p.m. So Friday at 10 p.m. As to the disabling of the 619s, yes, there were flaws in the trigger logic, and it was just over triggering, meaning too many kids were having that triggered against them, which was preventing LEAs from certifying. So by removing those, or by disabling that error, all of those errors fall off of your next revision, which would then, if that was your only error, allow you to certify or LEA approve your data. But the underlying data is still wrong and problematic. So as soon as the 619 is tweaked and tuned and fixed, it will be re-enabled. And then everybody who is able to LEA approve their data only because it was suppressed will then have to go back to the revised uncertified version that now shows the new Plan 619s that would need to be fixed. And as soon as they're fixed, then you swap your whichever one you've approved. You'll probably go for the revised uncertified, where all of the errors have been resolved, and you then disapprove and reapprove the new versioning. And when that happens, if you're confused at all, we do have videos on that on our training site, but you can also open up a CALPADS service desk and we would help you walk you through that. But Alex is taking you to that YouTube channel to show you where you can look these things up. Going to our training channel through the CSIS webpage, then you go into that little search bar, and we're searching for revisions, and that functionality is the top video right there. So it would just show you how to get through an initial LEA approval, and then if you needed to disapprove at any time, what happens next, and how do you approve subsequent revisions.
Paul, I got a comment.
What's that?
I have a comment. Sorry.
Oh, please.
It's Sean. Stephanie's new and she's from West Contra Costa. I don't know who our CSIS trainer is, but I can gladly tag team with them for this one. And Stephanie, it looks like I went in, I saw your data. It looks like you've got the 0606, and I believe that's the one that Brandy just went over at the beginning, right?
Yes.
Yes. So Stephanie, in short, you're going to follow the guidance that Brandy went over in the beginning, and then we can always work with you on your lip. That's there. That's an easy one.
Thanks, Sean. Thank you. Robin at 325 agrees that bringing back on demand would be great. All in caps. Great. Maribel, 313 Q1. One of our LEAs is getting the SENR 0606 F1 for a student that was served by our COE on an IFSP. The enrollment start date was updated to the child's start birthday, and the plan effective start date was date for the initial IEP also reflects the child's third birthday. To correct the error, would we delete the meet file with meeting date prior to his third birthday? And then there's a discussion below it. All right. And I'm just going to let that go since you're having a nice conversation about it and you're actually getting down into the weeds. All right. Natasha agrees that an on-demand sounds awesome. Yesenia 321. See, it's these little sideline comments that are like little focus groups for us. You know, we throw something out, and anytime we see the responses, we say, "Hey, that's a good one." So pay attention, Sean. See, they really like that one. You could advocate for that and become president of CalPADS. All right. Oh, come on, everyone would vote for you if you got it pushed through. Let's see. Yesenia, I have 255. Yesenia has 2 students flagged for the Meet 624 that are missing SWIDS records. These students' CalPADS transactions reported the SWIDS records and meeting outcomes in SACE, but the SWIDS not reflected in CalPADS despite being accepted. We added records manually. Well, if you are stating that you uploaded data to CalPADS and you have a receipt for it, you need to create a service desk ticket telling us about that. And you're going to get the CalPADS job ID on the view submission screen. Alex is getting there right now. If you go over to that upload submissions and select view submission, down in that results pane, that second column from the left says job ID. That's the ID we need. Because when you make a positive assertion that I posted data, I need to go to that job and look and make sure that what you say is in that job is in that job. And then I begin to audit backwards through CalPADS, seeing where it is. So our root cause analysis here is going to start with you need to open up a CalPADS service desk ticket telling us what job you posted is not actually being considered by these validations. And bearing in mind that Fall 1 reports data as of Census Day, and Census Day is the first Wednesday in October, which was October 4th of this year. So if you're posting data that is using an effective date after Census Day, it will not be included in your Fall 1 data. It'll be, even if it exists in CalPADS, CalPADS isn't going to include it in Fall 1 because we're reporting as of 10/4. Okay. So if you can do that, we will investigate where the data is and give you the right answer as to what you need to resolve those Meet 624s. Robin 326, just a comment stating that she does not need half of the revisions she gets, and I don't get half the revisions I need. So a button would be very helpful. I totally agree with you. Elizabeth 326 Q1. We certified Fall 1 on Tuesday. Error-free since last week. Listening to the Q&A, I took a look at all the Fall 1 data discrepancies, and it's showing one fatal SENR 0606 F1. The student is not a short-term enrollment. The student was eligible for SPED in 2013, exited as no longer qualified in 2016, and just reassessed, found eligible again in November of 2023. Not sure why the error is showing now after we certified, or what the fix is. Maybe this is a ticket. Thanks. Elizabeth, I would agree. That does sound like a ticket. Especially if they were not reassessed until November, because that's well after Census Day. And as to why it's showing up after you certified, this kind of goes back to the whole revisions on demand. Right now, they're running all the time for everybody. Anybody who's posted new data gets a new revision. So even if you've certified, if you're uploading data that's relevant to Fall 1, you're getting revised uncertified versions of your data kicking off and finishing in the background. It's just that when you go to look at your certificate or your submissions, the default of that screen is to show you your certified data first. And then if you want to drill down and look at the newer revision, you're more than welcome to, but you're not mandated to, but it's always running there. And Alex has taken you to the CALPADS training screen again, showing you the functionality as it's shown in the display there, or on the videos there. So all of this is discussed there and how to change that drop down so you're looking at your most recent revisions instead of just your certified revisions.
Hey, Paul, I think also,
ma'am.
though, new errors might pop up because the student may be associated with another LEA, and depending if they did something, it could, especially with the 606, if they remove something or added something, it could impact you if you have them now.
That is an excellent point. Excellent point. That sometimes data or errors at your LEA can be caused by somebody uploading data elsewhere. So it's a very fluid environment at times. All right. Derek 326 gives us a +1 for revisions on demand with an email notification option if possible. Lisa 313, if you manually add a status file stating the student is no longer eligible using non-participation code 21, no longer eligible, you will receive another error that you are missing a meet file. And then there's a discussion below that Brandi is saying that's correct. If you have a status of 4, not eligible, the expectation is that the student was initially evaluated or reevaluated into the 2 eligible not participating, which does not require a meeting. So it looks like there's a conversation going on there that I'm not going to narrate, but it is there. Sonia 3, nope, that's one we've already done. Okay, Erica 332, Q1 after certification, how long do we need to wait before we disapprove and start working on Fall 1 again? Well, I'm going to say you don't need to disapprove to start working on Fall 1 again. Just what I was saying here, that as you upload data, the system will continue to run these revisions based on the current idle time and new data system, that it will continue to run as you upload data. So if you continue to work on your errors or errors that exist, all you have to do is keep checking that revised uncertified. And once you find a revised uncertified that has shown that you have resolved all of your errors and it's clean and you like the data on the reports, then you disapprove the approved one, move over to your revised uncertified and approve that one. So you'll be disapproved for all of 5 minutes. And then your CELPA will get the notification saying, hey, they just disapproved, and then followed up by an immediate email saying, hey, they just reapproved, go look at the other stuff. And there won't be such a gap. You won't have that window of time where you have no data available.
Paul, so I did post Alex's video on how to toggle between the 2 revisions in the chat. And then we will also put a message on the homepage after CDE has pulled the initial Fall 1 data. So saying, okay, it's safe to disapprove now. So until you see that, stay in your approved state.
Thank you, Angela. Stephanie is throwing out a thanks to Sean and Brandi. Rebecca 3 334 comment. One, I agree, bring back the on-demand button. I can't believe it was not around when that was an option, but it sounds awesome. It might be I might be the crazy person pressing the button throughout the day constantly. Laugh out loud. Moving down, 332, Mo, Q1 regarding pre-TK age students that need to be assessed for SPED services. Is it recommended that we enroll the students in CALPADS for 1 day to be assessed? How do we handle the students that end up not qualifying for services? Well, oddly enough, there is a, I believe it was, Joe, what was the flash number? Oh, and also there's an FAQ on it that Alex is taking us to. Let's see, where are we at here?
So,
okay.
so this is actually part of the webinar that I just did, the creating and maintaining SSIDs for students with disabilities. But I mean, the bottom line here, folks, is that it's not good enough to just create an enrollment specifically for assessment, right? You create the enrollment and you wait until you find out whether or not the student is eligible. So if you go to that exiting, there we go. There we go. Right? So if they're not eligible and participating, that is when you submit a no-show record. Otherwise, you leave them open and you exit them appropriately at the end of the academic year. And that's really important. The other really important thing is do not submit an exit until they have their SPED data up there. Because if you do that, they're not going to be able to get anything up. Okay, so this, and actually this video, Marshall is working on it right now. So we should have a link to my webinar that I did on December 5th pretty soon here.
Yes, I'm working on it and about halfway through.
Cool. Thanks, Marshall.
All right. Thank you, Brandy. Thank you, Marshall. Going on, we have at 3:40, Angela has posted Alex's video on how to toggle between revisions. Maribel, I see your Q2 at 3:37. Ethan, I see your 3:41 Q2. I see Kyron at 3:44 posted creating and maintaining SSIDs and enrollments for the students and disabilities. So that way we have that. Roger, 3:44 Q1. In addition to a revision button, can we have a donate revision button that will allow us to donate our revision time to some other needy LEA? And attach a Venmo button as well. Charity does have its limits. Oh, thank you, Roger. Thank you. I needed that.
We all needed that one. I was like, I don't even know where Roger's comment is at, but I'm like, yes.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. All right, I'm circling back up to the top and I'll start hitting the Q2s on the way down. We still have 14 minutes. I think we'll have plenty of time. Let's no. Okay. All right, Maribel, 337 Q2, one of our LEAs is receiving error SENR 606. The plan is there. Plan effective start date aligns with their primary enrollment date. I noticed another LEA posted a plan within a date, or plan with a date after our enrollment date. Could this be causing the error? That could, depending on what other data exists in there. I guess we'd have to take a closer look at it. But yes, on the understanding the error, I think Alex was highlighting that it has to be in the most recent plan record.
Yeah.
So if there is another plan record posted to CALPADS after yours, but prior to census day, then yes, that would be the issue. Let's see. And Ethan, 341 Q2, making sure I understood Angela earlier. If I have CDDs, not cert errors, in my most recent fall one snapshot from a few hours ago, but the data discrepancies page after pressing apply shows a discrepancy run completion time more recent than that, 3:16 p.m. right now, and it's showing 0 errors in the table, then we are in good shape, and our next snapshot should also have no CDDs. I don't want to put words in Angela's mouth, but that is how I understand it too. Yes.
Yeah, that's the expectation. The thing is with the CDDs on the certification screen, there's this latency. Sometimes it takes a while, or even you'll see a count of errors, but when you click on it, it won't show you who the kids are, but eventually that it falls off altogether. So that screen is a little bit sluggish. So really glad that we have this data discrepancy screen now.
Alrighty, Stephanie, 347 Q2. Is there an updated version for the CALPADS statewide student identifier and enrollment procedure document? The current one posted says version 10.1 dated May 13th, 2019. Yes, I know that it had been addressed. I don't know where it is in the process, but it kept getting kind of blended into other documents and broken out, and we're not sure exactly where it lives right now.
I can give an update on that one. It is actively on my plate, and SPED has actually, thank you, Brandy. SPED has actually kind of split it in half. So for the SPED documentation, that's what Brandy was just mentioning a minute ago. The PowerPoint is out there, and Marshall is completing the video, and all of that information will be up on, I think it's going to the CSIS website. And but yes, we are actively working on it. For this one, I just say, hey, do what works. And if it doesn't, we're sorry.
Yeah, I think we host that in the footer of CALPADS, Sean.
Okay,
Yeah.
wonderful.
And
Thank
it's
you.
under
There's the
SSID
document
enrollment. Yeah.
and a video.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Charlene, 349 Q1. My Title III counts keep dropping as more students have reached their 3 cumulative years threshold. It does not seem to stop on census day. Does that sound correct? Well, census day should be the as of date. So if they were still within the 3-year window as of 10/4, I would expect them to still be on your counts. If you're running ODS reports and seeing them and you're just using the current date, then yes, as their dates expire, which are free form, you establish the date, and 3 years after that, bam, it's done. I would expect them to fall off. So if you were adding them throughout the year they would fall off 3 years later. All right, we're at the bottom. We have 9 minutes left. I don't believe Sean has volunteered any of her talents for a talent show type of a skill like Brandy has volunteered to sing for us before. So I think that we have to pressure her into identifying what her skills are, whether it's dramatic readings. We could actually, have people submit things that they want dramatic readings on, and Sean could do those for us during these downtimes.
I have a question for Brandy. We've had a lot of people join since you first talked about students who exited SPED prior to coming to your LEA, and the other LEA did not exit them. So could you repeat one more time, what are the steps needed to close out that SPED program?
Sure. So one of the issues that we dealt with last year was the fact that a student had exited special education before transferring into your LEA. And back last year, you were getting something called Cert 132, which is essentially the same as the new SENR 606 F1. Okay, so if you have information in the student's cum file that the parent either revoked consent for special education and services prior to coming to your district, or if the student was determined to be ineligible after reevaluation, or they were eligible, not enrolled, they went out of the country, let's say. You don't have to wait for the prior LEA to submit up that exit, particularly for parent revocation. Okay, if you have information that the parent revoked consent, your LEA can submit up an SWDS record with a status of 2, eligible, not participating, and the code of 24, withdrawal. Okay, that tells us that there was parent revocation. You can submit that up. The status start date does not need to overlap your enrollment. Okay, the only time that a status start date has to overlap your enrollment is when you're submitting a status of eligible and participating, which means that the student's actively receiving services. But in the case of exit, a lot of you are saying, hey, well, this LEA didn't do their job and they didn't upload it. But bottom line is, you're getting the error. So we're giving you the option to go ahead and submit that status record if, in fact, the student was, there was the consent was revoked before you got there. Now, one of the other LEAs did point out, though, let's say the student was determined ineligible after reevaluation, right? So they had a reevaluation, they were exited from special education because they're no longer eligible. And so you go in there, just like I'm telling you, and you submit up a status of not eligible with a non-participation reason code of not eligible. Then you're going to get another error. It's going to say, hey, you don't have a meeting to reflect that this student was initially evaluated or re-evaluated. Okay, so then what you would have to do is you would have to go in and submit the student's last re-evaluation record, because it's very possible that the prior LEA did not submit that up either. So you can go in and populate meeting records, even if those meetings did not occur at your district, if you have evidence in the CUME file that the meeting actually occurred. The other place to look is in the CALPADS old SPED records. Sometimes the old SPED records can give you an indication of, when the last reevaluation was held. But certainly you want to have documentation indicating that the student was determined not to be eligible during reevaluation. The bottom line is you can submit up a status for a student who's exited.
And the meet record doesn't have to be within their enrollment bounds?
Yes, that's correct. Thank you for pointing that out. We do not have a validation for meeting records, which means if you have evidence that the student had a meeting, you can submit it up even if that meeting date does not fall within your enrollment period at your LEA.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate the additional clarification there.
Brandy, will you clarify, though, when you say you can exit the students, what kind of documentation or proof do they need to be able to exit the student if the prior LEA didn't?
Well, it either has to be in the IEP system, or you have to have a paper copy of the CUME file that indicates that. You shouldn't just be exiting students, right? Let's say the parent says, well, no, we exited special education. Again, you have a responsibility unless the parent has explicitly revoked in writing. So you need to get the CUME file, paper copy of the CUME, documenting that the parent has revoked consent for special education services, or it has to be in the electronic IEP system.
All right. Real quickly, Chantal at 351 asks, where's the best place to find the definitions for incident codes? I will go to, when I get mine, I go to the CALPADS system documentation page. I download the CALPADS code sets, and then I do a search in the code sets name for student offense, or if I'm looking for a specific offense, I will just type it into the coded value column. either one works. And then I believe, if I'm not mistaken, the user manual also includes a discussion of those as well. But up on the screen, you can see Alex is showing us the offense codes, and then in the definition column, it also includes the ed code reference that the offense covers. And then, of course, in the name column, that's the outward-facing name that's more descriptive, and then the coded value next to that. Boom. Charlene, 354. Continuing with my Q1, I'm looking at my 2.1 report. The later I run the report, the smaller my Title III count is. Again, we'd have to look at the students. We'd have to look at the report just to get a grip on what's going on there. So if you wanted to put in a service desk ticket, we could look at that. Becca, 358 to Brandy. Wow, that was tons of good information. I didn't know that we were allowed to submit up those records as long as we have proof that the other LEA took ownership of what transpired. Thank you. I'm downloading the transcript of what you said and sending it to my SPED coordinator. Those 606 F1s are going to be the death of me for sure. Paul, uh-oh. What's your talent, Sean?
So, I can't sing by any means. Okay. I had to go literally get this off my lawn. Okay. Now, it took me a year to make this, Paul. Okay. A full year. There are only 3 of them. There you go. I don't know if you can. Oh, no. I think the
you can't see it.
It was like it was showing and then it went off. Okay. Wait. Let's go. There you go. So, there are 3 of them, the bigger sizes.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay. Yes,
Super cute, Sean.
Artist.
It's cute.
A Santa elf.
Are we going to set up a webcam over your workbench so we can watch you do these things throughout the year?
I'm here right now. Thanks, I can now.
All right, we're coming up. We just crossed the 4 o'clock boundary. I don't see any new questions, so I'm going to let you go. Thank you all for being here. Very much appreciated. Always a good time. If you have any questions between now and the next Q&A, please open up a CalPAD service desk ticket so we can get you an answer as quickly as possible. Anybody who is still not LEA approved, please make that a priority. And we will be, manning the desk, vigilantly. If you need anything, please let us know. Have a great week. Oh, and also, Brandy, are you still doing the Monday Q&As?
On Monday? Yes, I will.
Okay.
I will be doing on Monday, unless you guys want me to cancel it. Because everybody needs a break.
Hint. But don't forget about Brandy's SPED Q&As on Monday as well. They're very informative and more focused in on the SPED data. So if you can make it to that, very, very helpful as well. Have a great week. Talk to you later.